Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. In the divine presence of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj, in the holy presence of Pujya Dr. Swami, saints, and in the most affectionate presence of my friend and all of you who are present today, Your Excellency Ibrahim Al-Dosari Sahib, Your Excellency Dr. George Joseph, and so many people whose faces I remember again and again in my morning prayers. Some who were sitting on the right and now are sitting on the left. But I remember all of you, especially when some of you have rescheduled their schedules. I know many of you don't even go to attend your own programs. But when tonight you have come here, it means a lot. And I do believe that relationships are not formed in the boardrooms, nor in the conferences. Relationships are formed when you go out of your way for somebody you love and respect. That is the basis of relationship. And many of you tonight might be wondering why we keep coming to Bahrain. If you are not, you should. And the answer is simple. Because we love the country and we love the people even more. As you have just seen, I was also present when the late Amir, Sheikh Isa bin Salman Al Khalifa, he so lovingly welcomed Pramukh Swami to his palace. We sadhus were there. And while the conversation was going on, and I happened to have the privilege to translate it, one thing the king said to Pramukh Swami, that where are you going from here? And we explained to the king that Swami Shri is a spiritual leader, so he has to continually travel. Just like a river continually moves, so the water remains pure. If you collect the water, it becomes stagnant. So a sadhu must continuously move. And the king so innocently said, why don't you make Bahrain your home? And I explained, I'm just remembering what happened, that's why I'm just opening up to you. And I explained to the king saying that Pramukh Swami, he's almost 90 years old. He has visited and blessed more than 15,000 cities and towns and villages. And he has sanctified more than 500,000 homes, going from home to home. So he cannot stay in one place. Look at the spirit of Bahrain. He said, you are allowed and free to move all over the world, anywhere you want to go, as long as you keep Bahrain the center of the world. And today I must confess, the vibrations and the love I feel today, by just your presence, it makes me feel that Bahrain is the center of friendship, affection and warmth. And we'll keep coming to Bahrain again and again and again. And this brings me back to the topic of the talk tonight, rediscovering relationships. I know a story that once there was a man who had the most picture-perfect life. His relationship with his family was fine, with his friends, business people, everything was going fine. Even his internal relationship with God, fine, he was comfortable. Once he was moving through a mountain, enjoying nature, and suddenly he slipped. And as he slipped, he was falling over a cliff. And while coming down, to his greatest rescue, there was a root of a tree hanging out, dangling just at the edge of the cliff, and he happened to get hold of that root. Now that root became his entire world, not his factories, not his businesses, not his position, not his friends, nobody. As he was dangling on that root, he started thinking of everybody. He said, where are my relations? Where are my friends? He started calling to everybody and nobody could hear, so nobody could come. Ultimately, there was one relation he started calling. The rest he began cursing. Nobody was there when he needed them. So he started talking to God and said, God, where are you? I have been honest, integrity. I have been praying 5 times a day. I have been sincere. I have followed every festival and every ritual. Where are you, God, when I need you? Suddenly, the entire sky filled up with one voice. And God answered, saying, yes, you called. And he said, is that God? He said, definitely your voice does not even go to the next tree. And the only voice that can fill the skies and the cosmos has to be the voice of God. So it is God, I am come to rescue you. He said, then why are you waiting? Come on, rescue me. God said, why? He said, yes, look, can't you see I am dangling? I am just down on my way to death. Why don't you save me? God said, I have come to save you. Do you trust me? Do you believe me? He said, of course I believe you and I trust you. God said that, do you believe that I have come? He said, yes. Can you hear me? I can hear you. You sure that this is God? I am sure. Are you sure I have come to save you? He said, yes. Then let go of the root and I will catch you. He said, no. First catch me, then I'll let go of the root. God said, first let go and I'll catch you. He said, no. First catch me and then I'll let go. This is the small difference between our faith. We keep praying to God in our relation and say that God fulfill my prayers, then I'll believe in you. And God keeps telling us, first believe in me, then I'll fulfill your prayers. This is the catch. In every relation that you have, the crux of it is trust. When your trust disintegrates, the relationship is in the dustbin. Whether it's with your son, your wife, your friends, your business, or whether it's with God. Trust happens to be the most critical element of any relationship. And as we move ahead, relationship itself is so critical to the joy and satisfaction of human life. We must accept that. There is an ancient Greek tale of a king. He wanted to find out what life would be like if you deprive it of all human interaction and relationship. Sometimes we get tired and we feel we don't want anybody. We want to be alone. And then we get tired of being alone. And we want everybody. It's like a dilly-dallying, a seesaw. So this king decided that what would life be like if you deprive it of any human interaction. So he gave an order that make a room, fill it up with all the joys, the systems, the comforts, the toys, the food, the water that a human being would need to survive. Fill that room up. Put in a newborn baby. under one condition, that there will be no human warmth or interaction or touch or voice or anything for that baby. The Greek tale says that the baby died in 2 weeks. The king wanted to experiment that what would life be like if it was filled and overcrowded with human relations. So the same king ordered that fill the room up with nothing else, put the baby in, and put in 100 human beings. Their only job is to caress and cuddle and interact with the baby again and again, whether the baby likes it or not. Initially, the baby died without human interaction in 2 weeks. This baby, with over human interaction, died in 1 week. Too much crowds and suffocates us. How many of us complain that how many roles do I have to play? I am a son of somebody. I am a father of somebody. I am a brother of somebody. I am the father-in-law of somebody. I am the boss of somebody. I am the underling of somebody. I am a neighbor of somebody. So many different roles that you have to play in your life. And sometimes we get tired and overcrowded by the positions and the roles that we play. But opposite, when you are a nobody to nobody, it's even worse. So somehow the tone of our topic is finding the right balance in trying to face our own life. The balance is very important. Even after years of sustaining a relationship, to find the right balance is a very tricky thing. I'll tell you about a retirement cruise that some fine wisecrack came up with in Japan. You know, nowadays people are trying to find business in anything and everything. So one travel agent, he came up with a very beautiful idea. He put it in the paper saying that now I have come up with this idea of retirement cruise. Only people over 60 and who have just retired can apply for the cruise. And the ad went, listen carefully, that for 40 years you have been married. Now spend exclusive time of 1 month with the person you love, your spouse. For 40 years you have worked. You've spent time in your meetings and your friends and going out and traveling. What about the person you love? And it went on. A cruise with no worry, no work, no responsibility, just an opportunity to find out the person you have been living with for 40 years. And exclusively when husbands and wife after retirement 60, they went on to that cruise, you know, to your shock and horror, more than 30% ended up in divorce. Think about it. Officially, the Japanese government had to declare they put an end to this retirement cruise because for 40 years the work and your diversions had kept you busy, and in 1 month you got to know each other so much that you couldn't bear each other. Sometimes being busy is also good. But don't be too busy that you ignore the responsibilities you have towards your own family. Relationship with the people who are near you are very important. It's not easy. It's very tricky to manage. And once you learn that if you don't manage it yourself, it becomes very difficult. I ask you that managing relationship is like focusing the camera. It's only you who can see. Nobody else can see for you. It's only your own hand that has to adjust the dial. Nobody else can do it. It's either too much or too less. And out of focus, whether it's under or over, is out of focus. So you must understand that when you are the common factor in every relationship you have, whether it's in the family or outside or business or country or as a minister or as a chief or CEO, you are the common factor. So the adjustments that you have to make is with yourself. There is the modern way of thinking saying that you manage relations around you. And there is the traditional way of thinking which you'll find out in all the scriptures of every religion. you manage things within you. When you manage things within you, we find out that we will be able to connect so easily with their surroundings, it makes it much easier. But when you leave things to others, and you keep complaining about relationship and hoping that others will solve it, even your best friends and your the best relatives and even the people who you love and who love you can always make things worse with the best of intentions. There's a story that the sadhus often say, that if you leave everything to others, even the people who love you can spoil things with the best of intentions. There was a family of 5, husband and wife, father and mother, 2 daughters and 1 son. The son kept on complaining to his parents that you've never given me a good gift this year. Why don't you give me a good gift, something I like and I love? They got together and they brought him designer trousers, the latest, something that had come out, and they gave that boy the trousers, the family together. They loved him. They wanted the best. Now please bear with me. But when the kid opened up the trousers, he wore them, he found out that they were 6 inches too long. They were there, but they were useless for him because they were 6 inches too long. So he went up first to his father and he started whining. He said, Dad, you've given me a gift I can't use. What's the use? He went up to his mother and said, look, they are 6 inches too long. So he complained to his mother. To his sisters, he kept moaning, saying, your sisters, you've done something is 6 inches too long, I can't bear it. And he said, it's useless, I don't want it. Sometimes we keep complaining, but we still want it. Many people who give us threats that if you don't do it, I will resign. For once say, resign, and I know he won't. Don't tell them I said it. We keep saying things which we don't mean. We keep thinking things which we can't bear. So this boy kept whining and complaining and moaning about his trousers being 6 inches too long, and he went to sleep. Now the entire family loved him. Look, people who loved. So the father decided, my son has gone to sleep. So at about 12 at night, he came into the room, secretly tiptoed, and he cut the trousers 6 inches. So in the morning, when the boy wakes up, they would be perfect fitting. So the father folded the trousers back and he went out. At 2 o'clock, the 2 sisters came in and said, oh, my brother, I don't want to. She opened up and she cut the trousers 6 inches. Please bear with me. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the other sister very quietly, I love my brother so much, I can't tolerate this. She secretly opened up, cut the trousers 6 inches. And before the boy could wake up, the mother, who loved the boy so dearly, and hearing the snores of the little boy, she opened up the trousers and cut 6 inches. In the morning, he had a pair of shorts. I beg you, don't keep complaining, whining about your relationships to others. Even the best of your friends will turn them into shorts. Take charge. Take charge of your own relationships. Be the boss of yourself. And you won't need another boss to take care of you. Be your own boss. Take charge. And when you take charge, and when you decide that you have to start moving things around your world, see the magic you can do with your own relationship. That is what our scriptures have been constantly telling us. In the Vedas it is said, Ekena Vignatena Sarvam Vignatam Bhavati. By knowing one, the Almighty, by knowing yourself, you will be able to know everything around you and everything around inside the cosmos. Because you will be able to relate. If you are walking a tightrope, okay? If you are walking a tightrope, you will see the whole world moving. But is the world moving or you? If somebody starts thinking that I must keep the world steady, sir, keep your own foot steady and the world is steady. Take care of yourself properly and thoroughly, whether it's prayers, your family, your friends, and the whole world will take care of itself. Pramukh Swami gives this example many times that once there was a boy. He was a very notorious boy and his father was tired. He kept asking question after question to keep him busy. The father gave him a map of the world and said, study the map. The boy studied it. And then after 10 minutes, the father chopped up the map in 100 pieces and said, fix the jigsaw together. How would the boy know where is Alaska, where is Finland, where is Madagascar? How would the boy know where is Bahrain or India? But less than 2 minutes, the boy was back, the entire map was stuck. The father was so stunned. He said, how did you do it? He said, Dad, it was so easy. I turned the paper over. There was an image of a man. I fixed the man. The world became together. Take care of the man. Take care of yourself. And the world will take care of itself. We tend to ignore the basic elements of yourself, your own emotions, your mind, and we keep struggling to find answers in things around us. Bhagavan Swaminarayan has said very clearly that he who sees things around him, things beautiful, things ugly, things big, things small, things attractive, things not so attractive. He who keeps himself busy in seeing things around him and fails to see things within him, he is the greatest of all fools. Only begins to see things within him. He goes beyond. Once we were traveling from Delhi to Bhavnagar. One man, he had brought his private jet plane for Pramukh Swami to travel. Swami is 90. I was also with him. The name of that man is Manav Singh, a young guy, 35 years old. And he came down and sat next to Pramukh Swami and he asked him a very interesting question which I want to share. And it also shows the magnanimity of Pramukh Swami Maharaj. He asked and he said, Swamiji, what should be the goal of my life? Before Swami could answer, he said, look, I'm 35, I'm a multimillionaire. My grandfather happened to be the king of Rawalpindi in Pakistan. I have not inherited anything from him. I made my own business of estate, of aviation, of stocks, of computer, IT. And I make millions and millions of dollars regularly. So what should be the goal of my life? To such a person, I would naturally say, do good and do good. I am sadhu now because you are so close to me, I am being very honest. So I said, in my mind, I would say, try and do good, help people. Pramukh Swami at once told him, then know yourself. And this man had the courage to tell Pramukh Swami, he said, I think that is a very selfish goal. If somebody tells you something that you say and it's a selfish goal, you will be... Swami said, why? He said, I believe my goal should be to help the poor, to donate, to give to the less fortunate, to build hospitals and schools. That is my goal. You know what Pramukh Swami said? That it is good that you build hospitals and schools, you help the poor, you donate. But so long as you don't know yourself, that you are the pure soul and you are beyond this world, you will constantly feel that you are donating. I am giving. And that I is such a big enemy that it will destroy everything good you do. It is only when you remember that you are a devotee of God and God has given you everything and nothing is yours, you are not giving, and when you feel you are beyond everything, you will be successful in life. Most of the relationships that we have that come into problems are equations of ego. And it is because of ego that if somebody is sitting in the front row, somebody is sitting at the back, somebody is sitting, or everybody hears the same thing, whether you're in the front or the back. But when it comes down to the question of ego, anything you do becomes difficult. Once a group, they came up to us and they had come for divorce. Now I'm telling you, as sadhus, we even bless marriages. Meaning, the people who come will pray and we said, may you be happy. But now the times have come that we also pray for divorces. Because if they are struggling and hurt and everything, and we feel that if they cannot get along, we don't endorse, we don't believe in it. But we still feel that if that is the way, that is God's wish, and that is okay. So when a family came down and they were struggling, and suddenly, when there are divorces going on, the wife asked from the man that, unless you give me 50 lakh rupees, I will not give you a divorce. And that man, he said, when we got married, we finished the marriage off in 50,000 rupees. Divorces cost more than marriage. And they said, I'll first say it in Gujarati, then I will repeat it in English. They said, you should remember કે સસ્તામાં મળેલી વસ્તુ આગળ જતા મોંઘી પડે છે. That which you get cheap becomes more expensive as you go along. So you must realize that if you think, but whatever has happened, it is because of ego. You can't get over it. Ultimately, all relations break down when you don't know yourself and you are trying to attach or attract yourself to somebody that you know. Either you become overcrowded with your own people and you can't handle them, or either you sink into this loneliness. It's like a desert when you ignore everything. What's more important, being overcrowded or being lonely? What's more detrimental? We must understand, and that will give balance to the way we form relationships. When we were in America recently, I happened to go through to NASA, the Space Institute. And there is the chief lead mission scientist. His name is Kamlesh Lula. He is perhaps the highest position an Indian has ever reached in NASA. He is in charge of training the astronauts. Any astronaut who wants to communicate on this earth has to first talk to Kamlesh Lula, because he understands what the astronaut mean. Sometimes if they say we have a problem and we'll think, the world is coming down, and that problem may be very small, he has to understand the fears of the astronaut. He's a master in the psychology of the astronaut. I asked Kamlesh Lula very frankly, I said, why are you spending so much money in trying to discover something on Mars? Why are we spending so much money? I'm not anti-science. But it's a question that is eating me up, so I asked him. He said, Swami, if we find life on Mars, we'll get a feeling that we are not alone. We are spending so much to find out that if there is life, we'll get a feeling we are not alone. Now, a similar question was asked to a lady. Her name is Marilyn von Savin. Maybe you have heard of the name. She happens to be the most intelligent human being ever to walk on this earth. Her IQ is 228. The highest any human being has ever achieved, the IQ. When she was asked that if we find life on Mars, before the question could finish, she said, we will still feel lonely. And she was asked, why? If we find life on Mars, why would human beings feel lonely? Now look at her answer, very intelligent. She said, that suppose we were walking through a rainforest. A rainforest which is full of vegetation, full of worms and bees and insects, hundreds of insects. And she said, even if you were walking through a rainforest which is teeming with life, you will still feel lonely. Why? Because it is life that you cannot connect to. Even if you found life on Mars, and if you can't connect to it, you are lonely. Now take this idea and put it into our lives. Even if you are at your home, if you cannot connect, you are lonely. Even if you are at the job, and if you cannot connect with the people, you are. Even if you are at a temple or a mosque and you cannot connect with people, we are lonely. Even if we are praying to God and you cannot connect, you are lonely. The most important part of relationship is not just being with people or just eating with people or just playing with people or just living with people. It is connecting with people. Our lives are like a mobile phone. You know, the first mobile phone that was invented, it was useless. Why? Who does it connect to? Think quietly when you go home. The first mobile phone was useless. Because who does it connect to? It's the second first mobile phone that gave meaning to the first mobile phone. Okay? It is the third mobile phone that gave meaning to the first two mobile phones. So if you can connect with your people and everybody, that itself gives you the meaning and joy of life. And when we can connect, we find out that there may be people who are so well placed, so highly placed, so successful, but they are lonely. One question which has always been bugging me is, why do celebrities, actors, and so many famous people, why do they commit suicide? You know, we commit suicide because of them, because we can't be like them. But why do they commit suicide? You know, most of the average man commits suicide because he can't be like the actor. He can't be like the celebrity. He can't be that famous and people struggling after him. That's why we are not that successful. That's why we commit suicide. That answer is fine. But why do they commit suicide? The entire process is reverse. Something I'm telling you is very subtle. Please pay attention. It may be a bit difficult, but it's important. Why do the rich, the wealthy, the celebrity, people who are loved beyond imagination, why do they commit suicide? You know, the question is, since I was young in England, we have been groomed to understand the more the people love me, the more important I am. Okay? If I come into a hall, if hundreds of people look at me, that's how important I am. This is the way that, I don't know, you may have been groomed differently. I have been groomed like that as I've come along. The more the people love me, that's why we are under the impression that the celebrity, when he walks on the stage, millions of people love him. And so he's important. And he should be happy. But as after becoming a sadhu, I've come to an understanding that your happiness does not depend on how many people love you, but how many you love. These celebrities have not found in the millions who love him even one person they love enough to live for. That's why they die. It is not important in life how many love you, but how many you can love. When you go back to your family, and obviously all your family members love you, your mother loves you, father loves you, everybody loves you. But if you cannot love them, you will not be happy in your family. If you cannot love your own family, your friends, then you won't be happy. So the equations that we come is totally different. And the more positive connections you have, the higher the quotient of happiness and comfort you have in life. Even the blind, I just want to tell you, even the blind can do more, and the lame can walk more, and the poor can be more happy, provided that have positive relations in their life. I don't want to put any blame to anybody, but some of the wealthiest family members in India are now perhaps the most miserable pair. Why? They don't need enemies from outside. If you don't have relations with your own brothers or your family, you become so difficult to take care of. So unless you have positive relationship, and those, the weakest who have positive, they can climb Everest. You must have heard of the name of Eric Weinmeier. He's a blind mountaineer. He's 40 years old, and he has climbed Mount Everest. He became blind when he was 13. Something even the seeing do not dare, and the blind could climb Mount Everest. But more interesting is, He has climbed the highest peak in every continent of this earth. A blind man. And when he was asked, how did you do it? I'm coming back to the same idea. He said, when you are climbing, it's not your own footsteps or your own hands. It's the rope team you have. The climbers who are ahead of me, they dangle a rope. And I hold on to that rope. Every mountaineer has to have a rope team. He said, I have been fortunate enough to have the most positive rope team because I'm blind. The seeing take care more of me than themselves. You experiment while you are walking and you are with a friend. You just tell your friend that, just today I want to go home, but I will pretend I am blind. You know what he will do? He'll keep telling you, okay, mind your step, just go to the right. Oh, wait a minute, there's a stone, there's a step, there's a lamppost, go to the right, go ahead. What has he done? Because you have closed your eyes and you have put your trust in him, he has used his own eyes for you. Do you understand? But if you open your eyes in the middle, he'll let go of your hands and you can walk on your own. That's why we tell so many times the relationship you should have with God should be blind trust. Let it not be a bargaining trust saying, God, first catch me, then I'll let go. It should be total trust in God, total surrender. And when you have such relationship, God will always use his eyes and his hands and his feet for you and you alone. That is the type of relationship that we talk about and we move ahead. So when we relate with the people who are positive influence on us, who help us, those are the people who will help us go ahead in life. But normally, you know what happens? The choice is yours. We tend to do 4 things with relationship. We have to interact, which is a choiceless. We are born on this earth. There are so many things that we didn't choose, but we get and we have to take. So many of you would say, Swami, look, I am the CEO, I am the boss, I am the owner. I make my own choices. But some of the most critical things in your life you didn't choose. Let's start. First of all, the most important thing you value, your name. Did you choose your name? Somebody else gave you and you are proud of it. Okay. Something that you celebrate every year, your birthday, did you choose it? Come on, you are the most important people of Bahrain. You didn't choose your birth date? No. Okay, you are so powerful, will you choose your death date? Hope not, please don't. You can't. Some of the most closest things to your life you didn't choose. Your parents, did you choose your parents? And did your parents choose you? No. Did you choose your sisters and brothers? No. Okay, now with yourself, did you choose the color of your skin? Did you choose your height? Did you choose the disease that you get? Even the doctors can't choose their diseases. I've seen so many eye surgeons, who tell you again and again that take care of your eyes, otherwise you get specs. But most of them have specs themselves. There's nothing against any eye surgeon. I have seen doctors who are supposed to cure your gastritis, acidity, and they're popping in pills of antacids. Even doctors can't choose diseases. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That we tend to think that we choose so many things, but some of the closest things to our life we don't choose. And yet we accept and we move ahead. So when the only thing that you can choose is to choose positive relationship, which is in your hands. But you know what happens with us? 4 things happen. If you understand, we'll be able to chart our system out. That if we cannot manage relationship, we manipulate relationship. When there's a negative environment full of greed, hatred, fear, people tend to manipulate relationship. If you fear your father, then you will try and manipulate relationship to get away or do something. There's an ancient story that once in the jungle, the lion was moving across. And the lion heard rumors that his mouth smells. So the lion got hold of a rabbit and said, hey, does my mouth smell? And the rabbit said, yes, your lord. He killed the rabbit. How dare you talk to the lion and tell me my mouth smells? He killed him. A squirrel came along. The lion held the squirrel and said, hey, does my mouth smell? The squirrel said, a little bit. Even a little bit was too much. The lion killed the squirrel. All the animals started finding out the lion keeps asking, does my mouth smell? And it did smell. So it got hold of a deer and said, hey deer, does my mouth smell? And the deer says, no. He said, you are lying, kill the deer. What do you do even when you tell the truth? And even when you don't tell the truth, you suffer fear. So you start manipulating relationship. You start manipulating. When the lion was going into the jungle and a fox came along, and the lion got hold of the fox and said, hey, does my mouth smell? The fox said, my lord, I have a very bad cold. It lived. It lived. I'm not asking you to manipulate relationships. But I'm trying to tell you that at times, when we live in fear, when we are full of greed, when we have hatred, we begin to manipulate relationship with our friends and family members and everybody around, even with God. For God's sake, don't manipulate relationships. They don't last. Some of the biggest people who had gone on manipulating, it just doesn't last. It comes back to you with greater vengeance. You might have heard in 1923, in Chicago, at Edgewater Beach Hotel, 9 of the richest men in America got together. Do you know why? To chart out the future of America. It is written that between them, they owned more wealth than the entire US Treasury. These 9 people. And they wanted to chart out the next 25 years of America and the wealth and the systems. I'm just giving quick names, just listen. The first was Charles Schwab, president of the largest independent steel company of the world. Samuel Insull, president of the largest utility company. Then Howard Hobson, president of the largest gas company. Then Arthur Cutten, the greatest wheat speculator the world had ever seen. Richard Whitney, president of the New York Stock Exchange. Albert Fall, the member of President Hoover's internal cabinet. Jesse Livermore, the greatest bear on the Wall Street. Ivar Kruger, the Swedish match king who owned the greatest monopoly of the world at 75% of the match industry of the world. He had given loans to countries, 20 nations. Ivar Kruger personally had given millions of dollars, $150 million to countries like France, even Mussolini. Ivar Kruger. And Leo Fraser. He was the president of International Bank of Settlements. These were the 9 people who had come together to chart out the future of America. But they had come up in a way of manipulating systems and relations and things. After 25 years, 1 became bankrupt, 4 were in prison, 3 had committed suicide, and 1 was in a mental asylum. Manipulation always gets back to you with greater vengeance. For God's sake, don't go into a habit of manipulating any relation. It just doesn't last. It comes back to you and people see through it. The second thing is, if you don't manipulate relations, we tend to manage relationship. You know how we do manage relationship? Relationships which are greed-based, we manipulate. Relationships which are need-based, we manage. Meaning we don't really like it, but we manage. We're not lying. For example, we are working under a boss you don't like. We manage. Okay? When you don't like the nature of your partner, we manage. We need to manage. If you can't, then it gets difficult and difficult. Things that you have to do with co-workers. You know, when you get into a plane, all the air host and air hostesses, they keep smiling at you. Do you think they really like you? They don't. But they are managing and so are we. We live in a world where majority of relationships are managed. And that's why this word has come, managing relationship, but go beyond. Don't manipulate relationships. Don't even manage. There is a third category in relationship which are based on values. Value-based relationships don't need to be managed. If your mother loves you, she never has to manage relationship. If you love somebody, it means you have a value. Even if you wait for him, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel like you've had to manage or manipulate. I hope you're with me. If it's love-based or value-based, you don't have to manage. Those relations take care of themselves. They are very natural. Once a young girl was carrying her brother and she was struggling. Somebody told her, why don't you put this load down? She said, sir, this is not a load, this is my brother. You understand? When you love something, so love becomes, and pure love becomes very important in any relationship. More important than manipulation, more important than managing. It is love-based, and if you love something, nothing is a burden. Everything that happens, you can tolerate and move ahead. The fourth is spiritual relationship. Those transcend even manipulation, managing, and even value-based relationship. Those are spiritual relationships. When Krishna and Arjun got together in the Indian scriptures, one side, before the Mahabharata Yuddha war, one side Krishna said is me, and the other side is my entire army. Duryodhana, the evil man, he went for the army, and Arjun went for Krishna. And in getting Krishna, because of his love, he got everything. He got not only divinity, he got wisdom, he got blessings, he got everything which all the army could not give. I'll tell you, even if you had all the love or all the people of this world, it would not equal to the love of God. Because the love of human beings has selfishness. All of us getting together and we keep saying, we love you, there will always be a tint of selfishness. Only the love of God is selfless. And the power of selfless relationship, I just cannot emphasize more. The power of selfless relationship can convert even the smallest act into magic. Many of us sitting here, we feel that we really can't change the world. Many of us secretly feel, yes, we try, but hardly we can bring a change in our family or the things around us. How can we change the world? Now bear with me with just one incident. You take this incident home. One idea of selflessness, meaning nothing is mine. Just one idea. You know the amount of change it can bring in relationship? When we are young, I studied a small book. And if anybody has time, go back home and read this book. It was written in 1952. The title of the book is When the World Collides. When the World Collides. And it's an imaginative book, science fiction. Some of the scientists got together and they started saying that there is a planet which is in the course of the Earth. And in 6 months' time, the planet will collide with the Earth. Now, if something is colliding on this earth, then where do we go? We can't run away. There are no bunkers that can save us. No bombs. Nothing can save us. The planet is exactly the path of the earth. Nobody took the scientists seriously. They kept laughing at the idea. But 1 month to go, they saw something red on the skyline. People started believing what they see. That red dot started growing and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, until it filled the entire horizon. 1 week to go, and people saw a huge red planet coming straight towards the earth. You know what happened in the last week? All the husband and wife who had taken divorce, they started coming back. He said, what for? Just last 1 week. The kids who had run away, they said, mom and dad, we are back. We love you. There's nothing to run away from. The governments, they set all the prisoners free. The prisoners said, are we free? Yes, you are free for life. But how long? 1 week. All the people who were asking money, the debtors, when they found the people who had lent money, said, no, we don't need your money. All your debt is free. The shops were open. Nobody closed the shop. You could go in and buy. The banks were free. Anybody could borrow. But what would they buy and for how long? The whole world became almost like a heaven, Swarg. And the relations, people, even the countries removed armies. There were no threats, no fights. People kept their doors open, no stealing. Entire world became in some harmonious relationship because nobody wanted anything from anybody. If somebody began to smoke, they burned dollar bills. He said, okay, go and smoke. People kept the restaurants open, free food for all. No money, nothing selfish. And the whole world, because last week to live, we are going to die together. Nothing is yours, nothing is mine. Nobody's going to carry anything. Selflessness. But you know what happened? The planet missed the earth. And when it missed, the husband and wife, they filed for divorce. The kids ran away again. The prisoners were caught. Armies came back in. And the restaurants delivered late bills. And the banks charged everything with interest. I'm just asking you just one selfless idea and the world becomes a heaven. In your own family, when you give without expectation. If you give selflessly, it is the greatest gift you can give. If you give beyond expectation. What we tend to do, we just meet expectation. Give beyond expectation. Today I know that when you reschedule your time, it was beyond my expectation. When you came without even me giving you invitation, it is beyond expectation. When you've gone so far, such acts beyond expectation may be small, but those are the acts at home. When you go home and your wife says that the dishes are dirty, don't moan, start washing them. Even once when you do something beyond, I'm not going to make you a houseboy, don't worry. But even once if you do something beyond expectation, relations will be strengthened and created. So create relations by giving. Second, sustain relations by forgiving. When you give, you create relations. When you forgive, you sustain relations. Most of our relations, when you have a fight, each one of you are thinking of asking the other guy to ask for forgiveness. Why isn't it us that we become? When you are traveling in a train, everybody has serious faces. Be the first to smile. When you smile, the entire cabin will become happy. It will bring on the light. So first, create relationship by giving. Second, sustain relationship by forgiving. Third, enhance relationship by believing. Even if somebody hurts you. Even if somebody goes against you. And even if somebody does something behind your back. Still believe in people. Like God believes in us. Not everybody obeys everything that God has given us, but He still believes in us. And that's why He enhances humanity. If you believe, one man, he came to our temple when we were in Ahmedabad. He's a chartered accountant. He had come for an election, a local election, Gujarat election for chartered accountancy. He said, Swami, I'm praying that if I win. I said, yes, why? Some of my best friends have turned against me. If I win, the first thing that I'll do is to put them in place. He did win. And I said, the first thing you should do is to ask forgiveness from them. He said, but Swami, I have won and they are the people who are against me. I said, ask forgiveness right now. When he asked forgiveness? Those are the same people who made him the president of entire chartered accountancy firm of whole of India. The guys who are against you, and if you have the strength to ask for forgiveness, they will be with you. It's a chance to strengthen your relationship. And the fourth thing, which is very important, is live. If you give, you create relationship. If you forgive, you will sustain relationship. If you believe, you will enhance your relationship. But if you live, or whatever that you have said, you will immortalize relationship. When we immortalize relationship, it's something that the smallest act that you do will becomes immortal. You've just seen Akshardham. More than 7,000 craftsmen volunteers and 4,000 volunteers worked for that beautiful Akshardham that you have seen. But when Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he came down to see Akshardham and he saw all the craftsmen working in the heat of the night. When the temperatures were soaring at 45 degrees, he went from craftsman to craftsman, putting a flower on each head of the craftsman, the simplest of volunteers. He worshipped them like he would worship God. And that's why those people believe in him. Those whom you worship, the people, they will show respect. If you don't take care of your people, the people who work for you, they will never respect you. So to have relations, please give, please forgive, please believe, and please live. The smallest of act can turn into the greatest of things if you live according to this. And if you tell me, Swami, what if none of this works? None of it works. How should I still live? I'll just leave you with two incidents which will always work with relationship. One man, he happened to have a pet bear. A pet bear. And he said that, when he was moving from one home to another home, he could not carry the bear in a flight. So he went to his local village and there was a zoo. And he said, can you please, I'm donating this bear. It's my bear. I've taken care of it. Please keep it in the zoo. Whenever I come, I'll come back. He went away for 10 years. After 10 years, he came back. And he went to that zoo. The first place he wanted to visit is the bear, which was in cage number 3. At that time, that cage was open. And somebody was feeding the bear. He, without any warning or telling anybody, he went straight into the cage. It was his bear. He had loved and taken care of it. He started playing with it, wrestling, taking care of it, and they were really friendly. They were playing and wrestling. A huge crowd gathered outside. They were clapping and applauding and looking at this man who was playing with this bear with such love. And after 10 minutes of great love and frolic and play, the man came out and bowed down to the audience. He said, don't worry about it, gentlemen. He's my bear. Because I gave him so much love, he responds. The zookeeper came and said, sir, I have been trying to tell you that the bear you gave me has died long ago. This was another bear. That's when the man started perspiring. He said, oh my God. You know what had happened? Even a bear, which was not his, a stranger. Even a bear, if he considered it as his, and he gave it that selfless love, even a bear responds, then I definitely tell you, human beings will respond. Even people who are against you, if you love, and love with the purity of heart like you love God, people will respond. And when that love comes in, one doctor, a parent, two parents went down with a son to the doctor and said to the doctor, sir, my son, he's a problem child. The doctor looked at him and he said, look, I'm giving all this medicine for the child and I'm giving this prescription for you. He said, but the child is not well. Why do we need a prescription? He said, the prescription is very simple. Give this son, your son, 3 times a day this medicine. And what else? This is for you. He said, give him 3 times a day love, love, and love. And the parents were wise and they said, but sir, what if it doesn't work? He said, double the dose. It always works. Thank you very much. Our love with our people should remain. Our love for God should remain. If you are selfless, if you are forgiving, if you give and believe in God, God will take care of you. But just remember, He will always ask, first let go and then I will catch you. But we keep saying, first catch me, then I'll let go. First let go and trust God blindly. Thank you very much.